Hi, everyone. I hope you're ready to go wild with the new Go tools. Before we get started, I'll introduce myself. My name is Noam Yehuda. I'm here from Pure Storage, more specifically, the flash array security team. You might know us by our motto, the few, the brave, the paranoid. So let's dive in, shall we? A small overview of what we'll be looking at today is the new additions to go.mod, a new tools flag, some caching improvements, and a new environmental variable called GOAUTH. And I want to ask you all first, okay, how do you manage your GoLint tool? Probably thinking, probably know exactly where I'm leading to, tools.go, right? Can I see a show of hands how many people here have used the tools.go file? Any? Yeah, few, right? Yeah, probably even more than that. And with the tools.go file, we also have this handy dandy command, which installs our tool dependencies for us. It keeps them so that we can do this, run go.mod tidy and keep our tool dependencies. Great. And the next step we probably will take is making a makefile. When we make the makefile, we will add in a command called install tools. So we can, again, install our tool dependencies. Now we have a project with no lines of code, 4 files, 2 of which we've mostly just done to configure and manage our tool dependencies. Well, you're probably thinking, well, there's other workarounds. I have other ways of doing this. I don't need all these files. I have the ability to put them directly into our makefile. I have the ability to use go.work. I have a ton of other workarounds. The main point being these are all workarounds that we've created because go.mod does not handle the tools. No more. Don't go crazy, go.mod. And yes, there's a lot of puns in this presentation. So what does this mean? Now go.mod will handle our tools for us in the subsection where we keep our tools. There, they will not get lost when we run go.mod tidy. They'll be kept. And now our directory is a lot smaller. We only have the go.mod and go.sum. Great. All right. How do we add it in? Do we do it manually? Do we somehow work some magic? No. It's very similar to how we used to do it, but it's not exactly this. We're no longer going to just run go get with the versioning or go install with the versioning. That's old news. We want the new stuff, right? We want to add in our tools flag. Using go get with our tools flag and our tool name, we can immediately add it in to our go.mod. We don't even need to add the versioning anymore. Without adding it, it will immediately take the latest version. Now, if you want older versions, you can still add a versioning and get older versions. But if you want the latest, you don't even have to say latest anymore. Just put in your tools flag. This isn't the only benefits that I've added in with the new version of Go. We also have caching improvements. This is to do with go run and go tool. So now let's look at our project. Remember, we have no lines of code. We only have 2 files. We run the lint tool within this location. And even then, it still needs to parse in binary and discover we have no files. It's fine. It'll take 63.6 seconds. Now, though, if we rerun it on the same place, it'll use the binaries we already have. And now you can see it took less than 1 second for that to happen because it saw we've made no changes. So we can just use what we already have. Now, this, of course, is a directory with no lines of code. Imagine your projects that you're working on or you're working on your company with tons of files, with thousands of lines of code, and how much of a time improvement it can be when we run when there's already a binary that's been created for it. Quite drastic improvements, probably. Now, this is these improvements. There's something else different that's been added. A new environmental variable called GOAUTH. GOAUTH is a new way of authenticating our private modules. What does this mean? When we use HTTPS to get our private modules, we can use this environmental variable to decide how we want to authenticate it. We can use this with netrc, git manage credentials, custom authentication commands, and we can also turn authentication off completely. All right. So when we use it with netrc, that is actually its default, meaning that you don't have to set it. That's the way it's going to be set. And when we use it, Go will immediately know that we're going to use our netrc file located in our root directory. And if we look at this example, okay, we have private module repo under private example.com. In this example, we want to get our information from there and download, but we need to authenticate. Go will immediately know to go into our netrc, find the private.com example.com, and from there, take in the username and password and use it for authentication. Great. This can also be used with API tokens this way and a bunch of other ways. No additional programming. No, it's very straightforward. Yes, though, it is hard coding your passwords on your disk, which I'm not crazy about, but you have to take into your environment and your needs when using it. But there's other ways to use this environmental variable. We can also use it for Git managed credentials. What does this mean? Now Go will know when it's set to Git in the directory that we want to use Git to authenticate our private modules. So now when we run go get, Git will immediately look at the directory, use the credential helper that we have set up, and from there, run git fill credential. Git will then use our host name to be able to know which credentials we're talking about. And from there, authenticate our request. If it's approved, Git will also cast git credential approved. If rejected, it'll cast git credential reject. This is wonderful. All you have to do here is make sure that your credential helper is completely configured and that you're logged in. Super simple and easy. Our third way is a little bit less easy, okay? But it's more robust, a lot more flexible, and might actually meet a lot more people's needs. Here, we can add custom commands. With these custom commands, we can use to either for scripts or binaries that output our authentication information. Using this, we can, for instance, leverage security frameworks such as cloud secrets, API tokens, interactive logins, and tons more. So let's look at here. In our example, imagine an environment. In this environment, we have our token. This token, for instance, is an OAuth token that we want to use to authenticate over HTTPS. All right, so now when we're trying to authenticate, GOAUTH will call this file and use our token to authenticate for us. This is great. This way, we're keeping our secrets out of our source code. And it's a great way to dynamically retrieve information and authentication. This is great. This can not only be used this way, but this can also, for instance, be used with secrets management for CLI. And I bet a ton of other ways that you guys have already thought of. We can also turn authentication off completely. So it means if you don't want GOAUTH or Go in general to authenticate any private modules, that's fine. You can turn it off. You don't have to have it on, but you can. Now, it is important to know and to remember, GOAUTH is not a replacement for Go privacy or Go no proxy, meaning that if you only want to authenticate private modules, you don't want to access any public modules, you will still have to use Go privacy, Go no proxy, and the other thousands of Go environmental variables that you can use. But beyond this, what's left to do? Upgrade to version 1.24 of Go. Thank you very much.
Thank you.